What's significant here, I think it was mentioned, is there is a direct correlation between what we see and the underutilization of the properties here. When you look back when I was a kid many years ago, we supplied housing in North Annis for probably 20,000 plus people. Now we've got 15,000 arguably plus people, the same amount of housing, and so that's lending itself quite a bit to the blight issues that we have in some of the situations. A lot of the landlords, I think you have kind of like those two categories, landlords that do and landlords that don't care. And I think so much of their plight is in the sense that many of them just don't have the resources because of vacancy ratios and delinquency ratios and some of those things. So it's an enormous issue, and I'm kind of here today for more of a learning process than anything else.
A couple of the larger agreements to get a real sense as to what the cost was for tenant as it relates to tenant turnover. And one of the larger landlords that owns probably 200 or 300 units said that in a year and a half period, they lost $100,000 in uncollected rents. And I thought about that, and I thought, as most people know, the best way to be successful as a landlord is to have really good tenant retention, and that there's a lot that goes into that. And landlords that don't retain their tenants for a variety of reasons, whether it's some of it may be the fault of the tenant, some of it may be the fault of the landlord, are not going to be terribly successful. And not only that, it's going to put a whole neighborhood at risk when that happens. And so my thought is, and we've talked about this, is how can we link some of these concepts to some of those concerns that rental property owners have? And it may be a combination of just making certain that people that are more at risk have the supports and there's communication between the rental property owners and that population. But it's also looking at it from just doing a cost-benefit analysis and saying, well, it may be more cost-effective to actually contribute and pay agencies or work with agencies to pay them to have case management come into those buildings. Because if you paid a case manager, even part-time, like $20,000 or $30,000, $100,000 in a year, I think very quickly you would see that would be a pretty cost-effective proposition. So it's not saying that there shouldn't be burden sharing by the whole community, and it shouldn't necessarily be disproportionately put on the rental housing community, but certainly they're the ones that are taking the risk as business people, and it's a combination of supporting them and also finding ways for them to lessen their own risk. And I think the other challenge is that we have a housing stock that was primarily built prior to 1940, and a lot of it is, especially in the two largest urban areas, which are North Adams and Pittsfield, is in really rough shape. It does have lead issues, and we as a community need to continue to make a commitment to putting resources into those households so that there's more housing available. And I know